good afternoon, and thank you for coming. Welcome to our third press conference of the Democratic Campaign for Advancing Southbury. Today we are announcing the release of our position paper on the future of the Southbury Training School campus. We are also releasing a video on our website and on the Facebook page that provides some context about our position on this important issue. Any discussion about the future of the Southbury Training School must start with recognition of our concern for all of the residents and the relatives at the training school. As I have often said, this is one of our most vulnerable segments of our society, and anything we say or do must be done in a way that is sensitive to their needs. However, that should not stop the citizens of Southbury from having an informed and constructive discussion about the future of this institution and the land that it occupies, almost 1,200 acres. Many people have focused on preserving the farmlands that comprise about 900 acres with an agricultural easement, and that is a good way to start. We will be addressing that issue in a future position paper. Today, our focus is on the campus, the land occupied by the buildings and the facilities. Our attempts to work with the town's leadership and the majority political party in the past have fallen on deaf ears. According to the Democratic Selectmen, the future of the Southbury Training School has never been brought up for discussion at a Board of Selectmen meeting. The former First Selectman, who is still the town's official representative on the Board of Directors, has never made a presentation to the Board of Selectmen on any matter related to the training school since he stepped down 3 years ago. Yet issues keep coming up, like the recent concern about the handling of dispatch for the Southbury Training School. And more will come up, whether it's related to the fire service or the ambulance service. Our town leaders appear to take a wait-and-see attitude, and we saw the trauma this caused in Newtown. We should be able to learn from those lessons. However, our position paper is focused on a much longer vision and dovetails well with our first paper on the need for a strategic plan. We recognize that the Southbury Training School is state land and that any decision will be a state decision. But that should not prevent the town from bringing forward what the town would like to see happen at that location. With this in mind, the position paper makes 3 important points. First is that we need to engage the citizens of Southbury in a discussion about the future of the campus by providing them with accurate information about the campus, the status of the facilities that are there, and the constraints that must be recognized. Second, we need to always consider the needs of the developmentally disadvantaged seniors, a population that is growing as a result of medical science. And thirdly, we need to start to develop some options for the future. The position paper has an addendum that describes one such option for discussion purposes. We encourage all citizens to visit our website and to read the position paper. Once again, we think they will see that I and the Democratic slate are the candidates with the ideas and experience to advance Southbury. Ron, did you want to add anything to that?
Just briefly, one of the reasons I wanted to get involved in this campaign is the very issues that Ed is talking about. He has done 3 position papers so far, one on strategic planning, second one on information technology, third one on the Southbury Training School, all issues that must look toward the future. He's encouraged citizens of Southbury to be involved in every single one of these discussions. This is a true leader. I really believe that working together with the team that has been nominated by the Democratic Party, and this gentleman to my right is nominated to be the next First Selectman of Southbury, we will get to the issues of the future. I think Ed has proven he has a very clear vision for the future of Southbury.
Thank you, Ron. So now, are there any questions?
You said that this is really a state decision, going forward. So how do you influence the state as First Selectman to really make any changes, or go ahead with one of the proposals that you have on the website?
Well, let me offer first that I think there are people in Hartford who've already encouraged me, Republicans in fact, to say that we could get the resources we need to have this kind of a forum, discussion, workshop with the right people from Hartford institutions that are involved. So I think there are leaders here outside of Southbury who are willing to help us have this conversation. But I've also been in touch with Dan Malloy, somebody we worked hard with on the past election. He knows Southbury well. He is planning to come out to the training school to learn more about the situation now that the budget is behind him. And I think he's open to new ideas about the future of the training school. I've been in touch with Catherine Smith, the economic development chair. I've shown her this idea as well, and she has indicated she thought it was of interest. And then finally, I've been in touch with both of the Democratic candidates for the 5th Congressional District, and they also have been encouraging to say, this is something we need to put on the table. So they're willing to help us engage this conversation and have the discussion to start the planning. But I think, as we say in the position paper and in the video, we haven't had the right leadership before in Hartford nor Southbury to move forward on this. I think these things are changing. They've changed in Hartford. Now we need to change them in Southbury.
Can you elaborate a little more about? I read pretty quickly the addendum about the nonprofit organization. Corporation to come in, and how would that operate under? How exactly does that operate if you were to bring that in?
Well, there's the getting started, and then there's the long run. So if it finds that it's feasible, it would operate like just any other nonprofit hospital. You might think of foundations that operate institutions that are either research facilities, many medical research facilities that have that model. They are run as a nonprofit organization. And for that matter, there are many residential care facilities that are nonprofit. So here the idea is, as I used to say at the very beginning when thinking about this, if somebody, a private investor came along or a nonprofit came along with this idea, I would be very supportive of it. But in light that it isn't, isn't happening, then maybe there's an opportunity here for the state to kickstart it by establishing this nonprofit corporation, provide some seed capital, in this case using the land which is available, basically just sitting there right now, to get it going, and then using their power of influence to encourage other private citizens using the nonprofit corporation model to move it forward.
What do you using the land? You're talking about using the land.
Well, they would donate their capital, the state's capital investment in the new corporation would be something on the order of maybe 50 acres, and they say this is our contribution. Rather than providing money, taxpayer money to the new corporation, they'd say, well, we get a 50% stake as the state because we contributed 50 acres of land that has a value of this. Then they would offer other shares up to possibly research institutes or medical schools, whether Yale, Quinnipiac, other universities.
But you're not thinking of selling the land for development or anything?
No. It's just to say we would put it in the trust of this nonprofit corporation that the state has, at least initially, control over, because they want to make sure the corporation is created with a purpose. And the purpose is the development, or initially to study the feasibility of creating a nonprofit medical research facility and residential care facility that focuses on the care of the developmentally disadvantaged seniors. Again, we see this as a growing population, some of it because of the miracles of medical science, some, as others have pointed out, because of the growing rise of autism, which is being addressed now pretty well at the younger population, or younger age. But once they get older, we don't really have the mechanisms for how are we going to deal with them as a society. So these are things that need to be studied.
The building stock over there is just totally outside code. It's full of, it's almost has to be torn down.
Well, this is one of the questions that leads to needing accurate information. I hear different stories from different people. I hear that the buildings are really would be a liability for us. In my discussions with Director Harvey, he says the buildings they're moving into are up to code. They are modern. They are up to, they meet all standards of...
They've gotten rid of the asbestos.
Asbestos has been removed from all of the buildings, and the electric is up to code. Now, I'm not here telling you I know the truth.
Yeah, right.
Okay? I'm just saying right now I'm hearing too many stories that if I was First Selectman, I would say, I need to get to the bottom of this. Show me the inventory, show me what's been done, show me what the liabilities are. Let's not base it on anecdote and rumors and, well, you know, I was at Dunkin' Donuts yesterday and I heard somebody say this. We don't, that's why we need this, to bring the right people in from Hartford, whether it's from DDS or other organizations, and say, tell us the truth. What's the inventory there? What are we dealing with? Let's not find out after the fact and say, how come no one told me?
But I think a lot of people don't know, Ed. I think one of the complaints that I have heard over the years that I've been involved in the training school was this warehousing of folks at the training school. In fact, it's the complete opposite. When they talk about warehousing, they're talking about like Army barrack type places. All of the residents that are there have private rooms or semi-private rooms, mostly private rooms. The facilities that have been updated really from the ground up. They've done a great job. The other buildings, which are not, the progress, the way they've done it, is certainly something that as if you decided to add more buildings to update it, it's all doable. What you have to have is you have to have a concern for the research, a concern for the people that are there, a concern for their families, and I think you have to open your eyes and not just say for profit. For profit is great, but it has to serve the community as well.
Just to add to Bob's point, when you go and visit the training school, as I've done with Bob, who, just for your purposes, you should know is a consultant pharmacist and spends a lot of time every week up there as well as at other places. A lot of progress has been made to centralize. If you've driven up there, you realize it's hundreds of acres. But the plan has been and is being executed to consolidate the current residents in a few buildings that are co-located. It obviously makes all the sense in the world to do that, just from a logistical point of view. And at the same time, they're upgrading those buildings. But why do all of that work and then walk away from it all? The other point I always like to make is we're in the process of, as a state, of spending quite a bit of money to upgrade or to give them access to the Heritage Village sewage treatment plant by putting a pipeline in there. Well, why spend that money only to close down the facility? We actually will have over there, I think, a tremendous facility or a tremendous area for commercial development, commercial including nonprofit, environmental research, whatever types of things we want to do, because the utilities are there. Very different than our corporate park, which is basically vacant land near exit 14 that has no utilities, no access, no sewage treatment plant.
But there are no houses there.
No housing, I understand that. But I'm saying in terms of development, you've got something that's, it would be hard to say it's ready to go, but it's a lot further along. And the other thing I don't think we've expressed here today that I think is important is this community has a cherished and a very noble relationship with the Southbury Training School. I think if you tried to put a facility like the Southbury Training School in many communities, before they even knew what it really was, just by the title, there would be a lot of what was called the NIMBY, not in my backyard. Great idea, not in my backyard. And that's not the way Southbury looks at the training school. A lot of people, as I go around and I do my meet and greets and talk to various people in town, they look with pride about the relationship with the training school. Many of the people who've lived here for a long time talk about the close relationship between the community, the fact that we've provided jobs for so many of the residents there over the years. And as we've seen even this summer with the concerts that are out there, to see people from the Southbury community mingle with the people from the Southbury Training School community at an open-air concert is really something that I think is really a testament to Southbury, something we should be proud about, and something we should look towards capitalizing or expanding upon in the future.
Have there been any companies or people have come forward and say that, you know, that this is something they're interested in doing with this facility down the line? Have you talked to anyone like that?
No, I haven't. And, you know, quite honestly, a lot of this has come out of planning for this campaign to say, well, what goes on, you know, what confronts Southbury in the future,
right,
as Ron spoke about, talking about the strategic planning. Now, having said that, thanks to people like Bob and others, we've been talking about the training school as an issue for quite a long time. I mean, I think for many reasons, some for personal reasons, people we've known who have had children that they were caring for, who had developmental problems, and then came to a point in their lives where they no longer could support those people. And I think we were frustrated that they couldn't get into something like the training school, recognizing that, as Bob says, the care it provides now is a lot different than a lot of people's stereotype of what the training school is. So it's been something in the back of my mind. The idea of the nonprofit idea really came out of thinking about a strategic plan, which led me to think about the training school, because it's such a big piece of our community that hasn't been identified what the future is. So the simple answer really, Pat, is no. I haven't spoken to anyone. Or at least nobody's come forward to me. I've spoken to a lot of people about it, but nobody with money has come forward and said, that's a great idea, let me get started.
I think a very important point is that he's thinking about these issues. And it seems that other leaders in the town are not thinking about these issues. I think this discussion that we had here tonight is indicative of Ed's thinking forward-looking, and apparently we're not getting that from the president.